I just wanted to make sure that the video and the audio is gonna work okay. 1 o'clock. This is my first live on my YouTube channel. So if you're watching this as live, thank you so much for joining. But if they're watching this as a replay, that's okay as long as you're watching. But I just really wanted to do this so I can get some more real-time interaction with viewers from my channel. Um, just to talk about the gig driving, of course, and some of the hot topics of the moment. And some of these hot topics really have been going on way longer than they should be. But if you are watching my channel right now, please let me know, how the audio is coming across. If, you're having a hard time hearing me or anything like that, please just comment in the chat box and let me know. And if it's all possible as well, you know, I won't hold it against you, but I would appreciate it too if you, could even share this live so more people can join in, especially if they're not already part of my channel and are not aware of what I'm doing today. But really, as I said, doing this live today is just so I can get some interaction with some of my recent subscribers. And for those of you guys that have been subscribing to my channel and you're watching my video, thank you so much for the support. I always appreciate it. Uh, but in the description box, I do have some links to some videos or even to a couple of articles that I'll be talking about later in the video. But just to let you know, in case I forget to mention that when I do bring up the topic about those links that I have in the description box. But if you are just now joining me, you know, pop in the chat box and say hi. Let me know that you're here and who's here watching. And if you don't mind, I can always just give you a shout out on the channel. Okay. Yes. Um, all right. Just trying to get some other things going here. Okay. So especially if I have family and friends on watching this video, and in case that you didn't already know, I've been a gig driver for the past, at least a full-time gig driver, really, for the past um, 9 months now, and it's it's definitely has its challenges, but every day is different. You don't know, what to expect with the orders that you're accepting, what it is you're accepting, where you're going. I mean, just like, you can get anything from a simple, small package to a 50-pound bag of, whether it's dog food or some type of other feed. Um, and anywhere from like a six pack or a jug of tea with a bag of chips to picking up orders that have what was it? Um, 9 cases of water. So yeah, that was a fun day. And it wasn't just the 9 cases that they had in that order, but we had a couple of other bulky items, but they were light. Um, when I first started out, I was really just focusing on Uber Eats. Um, and I was doing anywhere from uh, probably um, during the day, I would spend at least 2 hours, and then I would probably spend anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, for a night shift. And as I started taking it on more full time, I went from doing maybe 2 to 3 times a week to um, 4 to probably all 7 days, working, trying to make that money. But if you are just popping in, again, jump into the chat, let me know, say hi, so that way I know who all is here. But, um, and then not too long after I started Uber Eats, I started doing DoorDash. I was a little hesitant, especially because I was doing it by myself, about trying to operate more than one delivery app. So for a while there, it was just for several months, it was just Uber Eats, and then I added DoorDash, and then I was doing that for several months before I ended up adding Grubhub. And then probably October of last year is when I added Spark and Instacart. So then I was up to 4 apps at that time. So I was really a multi-apper. And that had its challenges, especially if you're doing this by yourself, and you have your phone and you're driving. That's something you got to be careful about when you're multi-apping and you're driving. And if you're having to, switch between not just 2 apps, but 4 or more, that can be a little distracting. So I'm thankful that, especially now for the last probably 3 months, my husband and I have been doing this together. So it's been a team. So it's made it so much easier to be able to really focus when I have two, three, 4 apps chiming with orders, and then I can actually focus on my phone and, switching between the apps without having to, focus on the road, because he'd be doing that for me. So if you are a gig driver, especially if you're a multi-apper, just be careful out there because too many times, especially, being the passenger and I'm the one that's, looking through all the apps as they're chiming, and even when I'm looking around and I still see, all these people that have, their phones beside their steering wheel while they're driving and they're, I see them just constantly, switching through whatever they have going on their phone. I've seen people trying to watch videos while they're waiting at the stoplight, so that's why I've always said, well, not always said, but I try to make sure towards the end of my video, I always try to put that, my PSA out there about being careful when you're out there, watch these other drivers who are just not watching what they're doing. But let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to check my messages on here, just trying to make sure I get all. Um, let's see. Yeah, I mean, um, and inconsiderate to other drivers. Please explain. Well, I mean, I guess in the sense, if you're too focused on, your phone, whether it's to the left or to the right of your steering wheel, and even though it's kind of in front of you, I mean, I'm pointing fingers, yes, but I'm also pointing it to myself that, that it is a distraction, and you are being inconsiderate, and I've been inconsiderate to other drivers. That's why when the times that I do go out there, even though my husband's been joining me for the last 3 months and we've been doing this as a team, but there are times that I still go out there during the day, and um, I'll have the multiple apps on, and as they're chiming, you know, sometimes, if I get the moment, I'm swiping between them, but I'll just have to let it go because I can't focus if I have, more than one app open. And I try not to have too many apps open if I'm driving by myself. Um, because, and I may have, start off with 4 or 5 apps open, but, and I'll do that, especially if I'm parked waiting for orders to come in. And then as soon as an order does come in, is whether I get an order on DoorDash, then I'll pause the other apps so that way they don't interfere with, while I'm doing that pickup and delivery, or whatever type of delivery it may be, shopping or, let's see. Um, sorry. Yes, I'm typing over here. Um, let's see. So as I was saying, I'm a multi-apper. We got to be careful out there on the road, whether you are the driver, or you really have to pay attention to these other drivers who aren't giving 100% focus to what they're doing. Too many times, and that's probably why, just one of the reasons why I don't go live when um, my husband and I are out there doing deliveries, because it would be a bit of a colorful, um, what do you call that? You know, interaction. He's always very colorful when it comes to his driving, and he comes across these inconsiderate drivers who are just blatantly not paying attention to what they're doing, and they don't even have a phone to distract them. They just don't care. I mean, especially in the last couple of weeks, I don't know how many times, we're being cut off, um, and or people are just coming into our lane because they're just not focusing, and um, my husband's having to avoid, hitting them or getting hit. Um, just rude drivers out there who come to a four-way intersection. The vehicle in front of you just went. So I don't know. I would think that the car across the way from you, it would be their turn because they approached the stop sign before you did, to go next. But no, you decide that a second after the vehicle in front of you takes off, that you're going to go, and pretty much just cutting off the vehicle who was getting ready to turn. Things like that. Things like that that will set him off, and, just having a colorful conversation that I don't want caught while doing a live. But, as a multi-apper, I started out, doing two, and then I added Grubhub, and then I added Spark and Instacart, and um, let's see, what was that? Okay. And so I was doing 5 apps for a while there. And then I added Shipped. One of my nieces does Shipped in um, a different part of Texas here. And hey, Terrence, thanks for joining in. But she does Shipped, and she told me about it. She says it's a lot like Instacart, which I started doing it about a month ago. And a lot of the offers that I was seeing on there, they just weren't as enticing as what Instacart would be. And of course, and the reason for that is because it doesn't even show you the tip. So it's hard. If you're having to shop for, 15 or more items, and then, you're driving, even if it's only, anywhere from 2 to 10 miles, and then it says $6 and some change. You have no idea, is that customer going to tip $2, three, four, or tip at all? So you don't know. It's a gamble on some of these. And I've gotten as low, knock on wood, I haven't gotten any no tippers on Shipt so far. But I've gotten as low as $2 and as much as $10. Um, so but so Ship has its moments. Sometimes, I mean, like Instacart, it'll increase it if it's not being picked up right away. Shipt actually takes the time and it makes it part of a promo, and it'll slowly, add $1. So if it started out at $7, you know, over time, if nobody's picking it up, goes up to 8, 9. And just like Instacart, the most I've seen an increase, I think, was probably $5, maybe 6, I'm not sure. And then some of those orders that I have accepted on Ship, that's exactly what I did. Hey Lexi, thanks for joining. Um, but that's what I did. I would wait until it goes up, and then I'll hit claim if it doesn't get snagged, because someone else could be doing the exact same thing, waiting for it to increase. But and then here recently, in um, probably the last 2 weeks, I had signed up for Favor, and uh, and then I just kind of let it go. I started the whole sign up process, but then I was just too busy doing the other apps, and um, and then I just kind of let it go. And then when I figured, I was like, okay, let me just finish doing this. I went back to the app and it said that I was declined. And that was because I just didn't finish the sign up process. So they figured, well, she's no longer interested. Decline. But thankfully, I was able to message them and say, yeah, I'm interested again. And so I did finish all the steps, watch all their training videos to do Favor. And my husband realized it before I did, and I guess I should have made the connection because of the color of the t-shirts. But um, Favor, I guess it's like Spark is to Walmart, Favor is to HEB, and at least for here in Texas. I'm not sure, if it's the same um, for Favor in other states, but um, because that's where you can also pick up your card. So instead of having to worry about a card being mailed to you, you can just go to any local HEB and say, hey, I'm here to pick up a Favor card. And you can get working right then and there. But it's, to me, using Favor is kind of a mix of Grubhub, um, Uber Eats, and Instacart. The and the thing with Favor, like Shipt, is that it doesn't always tell you exactly what the tip's going to be. When I do one of my upcoming videos where I did Favor for the very first time, I actually do have a clip of what it was like, and it gives you a range of what the your pay could be. And I've seen 4 something to 7 something for one order. Another order said 3 something to 6 something. And so you just never know. I mean, so right now I'm still kind of on the edge about what I think about Favor, because I've only done it for one shift, and at that time I did 3 orders. So, um, but let's see. Hey, Larry, thank you so much for joining. Let's see, what does he say? Hi, Spark Scammers at Walmart is still going on bad today. No shopping orders in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thanks for watching all the way from Tennessee. All low paying pickups usually, but same 6. Well, at least, in your zone, you've got, more than multiple Walmarts, if that's what that means. They're about same six, get all the shopping. Oh, you're talking about the people. Never mind. I had to reread that. Yeah, we've pretty much, I mean, we tried to give it the other day, especially when we saw, I guess it was a glitch. I don't know if you saw my short video on that, but there was a glitch that it was making all the zones um, light up, making it seem like almost all, not every store affiliate on the app, was lit up, but they weren't just orange, but they were all red. And I was like, wow, that was pretty interesting. Um, and it happened almost the entire day, you know. And so, but anyways, I had turned on my Spark app, and so did my husband. And we were like, okay, let's test this out, see how real it was. And we were at the Walmart in which we ended up did seeing a couple of the regulars, the potential scammers there as well. And one of them, they were kind of doing the same thing to where they arrived, they would go into the store. The only difference is that ever since I made that one video, ever since I made that one video to where it was very obvious that they would go into the store as a group, 2 to 3 people, and come out, they moved their cars and they started getting their orders. Ever since that day, the couple of times that I've gone back over there, um, I don't see them going, you know, doing it as a group anymore. They would arrive in their vehicles, stay in their own spot. They would go in individually, but I haven't seen them doing it as a group as we did that one time and previously. So I don't know if because of that day they saw my dash cam and that how much we were watching them, because every time we've been there, even after that video, they said that, I mean, they constantly looking at my husband, because they see our car and then they're looking at him and, trying to stare him down. And but we haven't seen them working as a group anymore, at least the times that we've gone over there. And we've been trying to avoid doing, Spark. Um, um, Fake plates have been verified by a police officer, but said can't do anything to them. Once they spot you watching them, they split up. Oh, that's positive. I mean, that's probably why, because especially if it's being reported and, um, you know, one person to that video that I posted 4 weeks ago, um, one of the comments, was about reporting it to a news agency. And that's something that I kind of want to do. But at the same time, for me personally, if I'm going to do something like that, I kind of want to have more evidence to show, more of a reason for them to be enticed to do the story. And especially with some of the stuff that's been coming out, especially here recently, we just saw that the Spark app was compromised. So we don't know. They're just trying to say that that's what had happened. And that's why all these fake accounts, are being utilized by these scammers. And that's their way to get out of it. So, um, I mean, we just find that to be a little bit interesting, but that's how it's coming across um, that the Spark app was just compromised. That's how they were able to get in there and get all the drivers, personal information. So if you are a Spark driver like Larry and myself here, you want to make sure you get in there. If you haven't heard, the Spark app was compromised. So that means they have, um, you know, all not so much as just the app itself. It was according to that article or the news that we watched, it was the link that we're providing our documents to. That part of the app is what was compromised. So meaning they have our social, everything that we provided as to, I guess to do the background and stuff like that. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you change your password as well as change the password to your email. Um, Saw a video person was talking about someone showing up and picking right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's crazy because I believe it was just yesterday we saw this other YouTube YouTuber who shared the fact that they had arrived at Walmart, and don't know how they were actually able to verify that, but they were saying that um, there was a person there who was picking up what was supposed to have been their order under, his account, but of course it wasn't him that was doing it. So again, I don't know how he realized that that's what was going on, but apparently that's happening. And you think your account is safe, but I mean, and don't know how they do that. I mean, when you're logging on to your Spark app, it does the random, you have to take your photo. Let's verify that it's you. How were they getting past that unless, they do have, when they hacked that person's account, they also have a photo of what they look like, so whenever it comes time to um, verify if you are supposed to be that driver or not for that account, all they're doing is showing a picture so to scan that. If that's one way I'm thinking that that's how they're doing it. Because the other day, when it came time for me to verify to do that, security step, I had my husband stand in my place to scan his photo, I mean, to scan himself. And of course, it didn't go through. Um, and until I didn't. But for his Spark app, what he ended up doing was he put on shades, he put his hat on, and he was kind of, hiding his face. Yeah, you can still see his mouth and his goatee and everything, but they allowed it. They accepted, his half covered face, and they accepted it. So if you're even close to what the driver actually looks like, then they'll let it happen. Um, so that's unfortunate, and um, but and something does need to get done, and um, and the other reason why I say that is because it's not just about us drivers that are working our butt offs out there to try and make this money, and these scammers just come around and just take that away from us, but it's also about customer safety. You know, um, the second video that I had posted about, part two for the Spark scammers, was showing a customer who used, who put herself in that situation, and she they shared their videos of what happened with the, um, such a situation where it's not the driver that's coming to deliver, who's supposed to be. And so that's scary, especially if you have to open your door because it's something you have to sign for. So that's why I wanted to make that follow-up video to that. But on top of that, and those are the two articles that I did put into the description box for this live. But um, this it doesn't have to do with Spark, but it has to do with Instacart. And with Instacart, two customers, one was threatened, and another one was actually assaulted. So these companies, these apps who are not really putting these, security measures out there, for their customers, you know, they need to step up, because how many customers, I mean, especially, delivering for both Instacart and Spark, um, majority, more than half the time, it is just leave at the door. But, for the other part of the time, they have to open their door because they have to sign for their order. And, especially when you're delivering to the elderly, there's a handful of times, I mean, it's a safety thing still, whether you should be doing that as a driver, especially if you're by yourself and you're going into someone else's home. But when you're dealing with the elderly, when it's pretty obvious, when they open the door and you're carrying, tons of bags, or they ordered, few jugs of water or a case or two of water, and, they would like that additional assistance to bring it into their home. Imagine that it's the person who's bringing that stuff up to their door is not who it's supposed to be. And going back to um, the video shared by One Love, and the uh, the fact that in one of those videos that she uploaded onto her channel, where the driver comes up, just unloads the items onto her porch, and then leaves. I mean, normally you're supposed to, when you drop off the stuff, and especially if it's a leave at the door type thing, take a picture or whatever. Do that. No, he didn't do any of that. But what caught my attention really was as he pulled into the driveway, I noticed a couple of other vehicles that parked right across the street from where he was delivering, and then one that parked like maybe a house further down. Well, when this fake driver left, those two vehicles followed him. They left at pretty much at the same time. So, I mean, is it a case of just a coincidence? But I don't think so, because they arrived around the same time he did, and then they're leaving at the same time that he did. Um, so, I mean, why are they delivering it as a group? I mean, are they casing the neighborhood? Are they casing um, the fact that they've delivered to this customer before, and they wanted to make sure that everything was going to be okay? I mean, still, that's a matter of customer safety. Like I said, in my videos and those postings that I've done about spark scammers, it's not just about the drivers, and our safety and us losing out on that money. It's about customer safety. I mean, I would hate that, anybody I know personally, like the two women, one person being threatened while another person was actually assaulted by someone using a fake account. Um, and I mean, this person that was really great. It was really brave of her, one love, to, share her interactions with a couple of these, fake drivers, these scammers. But, it's still scary. I told my husband I wanted to, place an order with Walmart and see if it's going to be one of these fake drivers that comes by. But at the same time, if they recognize our car, then of course they'll know, okay, now we know where you live type thing. And I did not want to put us in that situation. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, as drivers, we've reported it. I've called into support. They just make it seem like we're nagging, that we're complaining because we're not getting the offers, or that it's a tech issue. I mean, we've even gone in and talked to Walmart employees, you know, and I've seen other YouTubers who are also, gig drivers kind of do the same thing. And even some of the replies that I've gotten and comments that I've gotten to my Spark Scammer videos that I've uploaded, talking about they've done that. They've called support several times. They've talked to um, Walmart employees, and um, some maybe even, depending on any type of interaction they've had with these scammers, you know, brought it up to the police. But apparently, you know, what really has happened because of that? Um, I mean, that's why on one hand, I do want to take this to the media, you know, they have to. I mean, how can they ignore stuff like this? I mean, they're going to wait until, it's not just a matter of, death threat. I mean, not death threats, but threats and being assaulted, but are they going to wait for something even worse than that before they actually step up and take ownership of what's going on and do something about it? I mean, some people commented that if we do report it, if we do try to step up ourselves as a driver to complain and bring to light, what's going on, that, we can get deactivated. I mean, come on. If that happens, as a retaliation for stepping up and doing what our duty, then that's even more proof that they care more about, just as long as these orders are getting delivered and they're making their money. So I don't know. I don't know what else. But again, if you, I haven't really looked, but if you've just joined the channel, I do hope that you'll pop in to the chat and say hi, so that way I know who all is here. And for those of you guys that are still here and watching, thank you so much for you know chatting with me, hearing what I have to say. But one of the reasons again I wanted to do this live again was just so I can hear more from my viewers, and especially for my recent subscribers or even potential new subscribers. Um, hey, Dashing Womble, thank you so much for joining me, especially from Kansas City. Um, are you a gig driver out there? I don't know if you just now joined in or if you kind of heard some of the or what the current topic is, really, which is about the scammers. Okay. And do you have any of the issues in your area, especially with Spark? Okay. I might have seen it. I mean, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, that's typically how it happens when something's brought to your attention. And the next you know, that's all you're seeing. Whether you notice when you're talking about a vehicle, and the next you know, when you're out and about, that's all you're seeing. You're seeing more of that. And it's the same thing like with this, the scammers, the bots, the issue that's going on with the apps. Next thing you know, I'm seeing a lot more YouTubers talking about it. I'm seeing a lot more articles bringing up this issue that, you know, isn't just recent. It isn't just a matter of months that this thing has been going on. I've seen people talking about it as far back as at least a year ago. Um, and that's true. I mean, and some can be so blatant about it, with the scammers. I mean, when you go into a restaurant and you show multiple phones, when you're there to pick up more than one order, and um and you're showing two devices, that's some people just don't care. That does the best in an area is the app they focus on. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, because prior to us actually being hit by the scammers in our area, we were having some pretty decent orders, and we were making some money on Spark. And then, like I said, after the new year, it just tanked. I mean, we even sparked when we traveled to South Carolina, and we did a lot of Spark orders in that way. So I don't know if we were in Simpsonville, and we I guess got orders from three different Walmarts in that zone, but I mean, they were keeping us busy, so we still got to make money while we were vacationing last year. But I don't know if they're now hit by all these scammers, but it was after the new year that our zone seemed to got infiltrated, and we're dealing with a lot more fake accounts and these scammers and whatnot. Um, my worry is that one of these scammers is that drivers is going to do something bad. Exactly. Kids, as we have several kids come out to us. Exactly. I mean, I didn't even think about it too as from, kids, because that is true. I've made deliveries and drop-offs where it's a teenager or younger kids that come out to grab the groceries. And if it's one of those, fake drivers, who knows? I mean, that is true. I mean, I was thinking about, I don't know if you heard that part of the talk. I included two article links in the description for the video. Um, and one woman was threatened by a driver. Another one was assaulted by someone using you know, um, it was an Instacart, and the person who assaulted the woman, that it wasn't even their account. So I didn't even think about in the cases where it's kids that come out to grab the groceries. And that's happened a handful of times when I've made deliveries, whether it's Spark or Instacart, because their mom or their dad or whatever tells them. I mean, especially if it's a teenager, you don't know if they're home by themselves. I mean, that's scary to think about that's potential, you know. That's why I really appreciated everybody that's responded to my videos, both the one I did recently, um, and then my very first one that I did about a month ago about the Spark scammers. And it all started, the only reason why we noticed it was because of the app acting up, where we get the notification and we're staring right at the app, but there's no order that pops up. That's what started it all. And then, of course, my husband, every time we do go to our local Walmart, and in our specific zone, we have three Walmarts that covers our zone, but we focus on one because it's one closest to us. The other two are 30 minutes away. It's in the same zone, but they're 30 minutes apart. So I had three toddlers come out to collect food from me a few days ago. Loved it. Oh my goodness. I mean, I thought, yeah, my first reaction would be, how cute, mommy's little helpers. But, looking at it from, what we're talking about these, you know, scammers, that's so dangerous. Um, but as I was saying too, all these comments that have been coming through, that we're not the only ones experiencing it. But again, and I'd like to see more customers um, sharing their issues, really. When they notice, I mean, especially we just need to make sure customers are more aware that these apps, are being infiltrated, that there's scammers out there, people who are using, not that they're fake accounts, but that they are fraud accounts because it's not the real person using it, you know, that, and which I was surprised. I don't use Spark personally, to order from Walmart, but, um, one of my daughters does use Instacart, and you can see the picture of your driver. And Uber Eats, DoorDash, same thing. I would think that any delivery service, as a security measure, I would think that would be a great security measure, is that um, all the apps provide a picture of who it is that's supposed to be walking up your door. At the risk of losing work in all of our areas, we all have to contact local media. Yeah, that is, I don't know why I'm hesitant. It's kind of like the whole thing about, I don't want to be the one to rock the boat. I'll I'll join someone else who's gonna do it, but I don't know. As me personally being the one to bring attention to my local media outlet for what's going on here, because I know I'm not the only Spark driver here. Before all of this happened, we know there's other Spark drivers here. There should be boycotting from the driver and a customer side. Send a message to the platform. I mean, yeah, that definitely, can be something to happen, but um, I mean, it would really have to be well organized for something like that. I mean, because look what happened with the whole DoorDash and Uber, Lyft. That was supposed to have been boycotted on Valentine's Day, you know, but and even the news media said they only anticipated maybe 30% of all those drivers, as much as they talked about it for the week or so prior to Valentine's, about boycotting those apps for that, just for one day. They said only about 30% maybe would participate. So you're talking about 3 out of 10 people were the only ones who gave it up for the day. And I'll have to admit, I did DoorDash that night. I took maybe, I wanted to see, just how busy it was going to be. And I ended up taking one order because I couldn't pass it up. It was over $40 for it. And it was less than 10 miles. So I was like, oh, heck yeah. But so it would have to be well organized to really make sure that there's going to be um, enough of an impact. Because in order for both, I mean, and that makes sense. That I guess that in order, I mean, to get customers involved to boycott it and not just the drivers, because I mean, if anything, it'd be, I mean, these companies would really feel the impact if the customers don't use the apps, because that's where they make their money. That's where they make majority of the money, because they're charging all these fees to the customers. So if the customers aren't even going to use the app, then um, whereabouts are you located roughly? I only subscribed to your channel a few days ago. Well, thank you for subscribing too, Dashing. Um, like you said, people feel like you where they don't want to rock the boat. The only way you get it done is by getting it done. I mean, that is true. That is true. But again, in case I'm in north of Austin here in Texas. That's where I'm at. Um, and I mean, because I've seen a couple of other gig YouTubers, um, that they're in Texas. So, but not in my zone. I think one of these other good YouTubers, they are also here in Texas. Huh? Did you? Okay. Well, thank you, my hubby. So he just told me that um he reached out to KXAN, which is our local news media. So we'll see what happens. I have a few friends that are gig tubers in Texas. um I mean, it's always awesome. I mean, because especially when I come across a gig YouTuber and I say, hey, wait a minute, they're in Texas. Where exactly in Texas are they? I mean, especially when you see HEB, because HEB is a Texas store. So when you see someone showing HEB, I was like, hey, they're here in Texas, you know. But that was kind of like one of the reasons why I started doing the YouTube in the first place, showing, what it was like to be a gig driver, is just from my point of view, because some of the stuff that I was coming across, I'm like, well, it's not exactly some of the stuff that I would like to see as part of the videos. But that, again, that was one of the reasons why I did it, because not everybody experiences the same thing. News that it is. So we will see. I mean, he's actually done something else, but nothing's become of that so far. And it's been what, a week? He reported some, not to a news media, but he reported something about a week ago. And, okay. Well, he told me to say he reported something to a federal agency. Yeah. And I don't remember, did you do that anonymously? Okay. And, but did you do it? Okay. So the federal agency, he was able to do it anonymously, but the local news media that he just reached out to moments ago, you can't do it anonymously, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to do that at first, is because you can't. I wasn't sure, if you could remain anonymous, because, like I said, for me, I just don't want any type of retaliation. That's why when I posted the video of these scammers, I blurred out majority of their vehicle, these people, because if for whatever reason they come across, you know, why are you sharing these videos of us? type thing. I don't know. I just didn't want to put myself in that situation. But Dashing said fantastic about what you did, especially for the media. Stop. I don't know how much you can hear in the background. No, you don't need to do that. We don't need to put that out there. But that's exactly why. What he just did there in the background, that's exactly why. Um, I don't do live when he's with me and I keep saying he's very colorful. Um, but no, yeah, Dashing said, not a lot in the background. Don't. You don't. He asked if you heard that. What are you doing now? Oh, can you hear me now? Yeah, yeah, do that. I don't know. Maybe if I um what do you call that? Become a little bit more experienced about using a streaming service, I'd know how to do the add little videos, um, and what some other bells and whistles that you would do whenever you're doing a live stream, just so you're not staring at the person the entire time. But that was another reason why I was hesitant about doing any type of live streams, because of that fact that I don't have anything else to distract you from looking at looking at me. But um, whether you're watching this as part of the live, which again, I do appreciate everybody that's here watching. But if you're watching this as a replay, thank you for watching my video even. Um, but kind of touch up what I talked about earlier really was the fact that I am currently, I've been a multi-apper for quite a while now. And, but, and I've recently added favor to my, what is it called? Repertoire. So now I am doing a total of 7 apps. My husband added to his. He doesn't do as many as I do, but he added Rody to his. Um, and he's on the wait list still for Draver. Um, but he can have those, because from what I've seen about those 2 apps, you're talking about a lot of heavy lifting on Rody from a lot of the offers that come across that he's come across. Um, and then Draver, there's a lot more driving that you're doing. So delivering vehicles and stuff like that. But you're talking about not just 10, 20 miles, but you're talking about hundreds of miles, to the point where, yeah, you may drive out there, but then for Draver, that is, then then they'll pay for you to fly back, you know, or Uber, depending again on the distance. So, but no, he can have those. I'll stick to the others. But if you are a multi-apper, let me know. How many apps are you working? I mean, last night when we worked, I had minus Spark. I had 6 apps going. And for a Friday night, several of them were just dinging, you know. I'm constantly having to go through each app as quick as I could so it doesn't time out before I get to see it. But a lot of them were just chiming away when you've got three or four going off at the same time. Um, but of course, they each have their own unique tone. So you know which apps are sending in orders right away, with Uber Eats being the loudest. No matter how many, I may have my volume set on halfway, but when Uber Eats goes off, it shoots up the volume. I mean, I've tried lowering it as it's chiming, but it's still it's so loud. But it um but the offers that have been coming in have just been so low. If you are a DoorDasher or if you are Uber Eats and you don't mind sharing, what is your current AR? Because mine, yeah, on Uber Eats, it has been ranging from 4 to maybe 10. Just when I'm thinking maybe I'm getting lucky with Uber Eats and I'm going to start getting more decent offers. No, it's major yo-yo with Uber Eats. And then DoorDash, for whatever reason, has started to follow that trend. I've been seeing a lot more low and bad offers with DoorDash to the point where I've gotten as high as 18 here probably in the past month. And it's been a slow trickle to where now I'm sitting at, especially yesterday, I started the day at 12 or 13. And then I'm now sitting at a 6 on DoorDash. Let's see, dashing. You have DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub. Oh, so you do Roadie. Um, Proxy Picks. What's Proxy Picks? Uh, and yours is at 3%. Yeah, I mean, DoorDash, I mean, it has its moments because if it weren't, yesterday we did get, it was what, 6 miles, and it was like $32 for that order. And it was 6 items from, what was the store? Tractor Supply. Yeah, it was because they had two 40-pound bags, two 50-pound bags. It was a heavy duty order, so they tipped $25. So they made sure that they understand that you're going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting. So they tipped nicely. But then majority of them would be, barely $1 a mile, or backwards. You take pictures of residential homes and commercial properties. Oh, wow. Is that, I've never heard of that one. I don't even think anybody's done, or at least I need to, have you done any videos, about using this app? Because if so, I've definitely got to check out your other videos on, because I don't know, sorry, with the proxy, you take pictures. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that one out. And it's called Proxy Pics. Oh, you did? You've subscribed? Okay, my husband just subscribed to your channel too. Um, so we're gonna check that out. Yeah, so I mean that's definitely up his alley because he worked for an insurance company for 5 years or more than 5 years, and that's pretty much what he did. He was taking a lot of pictures, especially I mean vehicles, really. But so that sounds like that's up his alley. Like I said, I gotta check that out. Mm, I mean, that's why I kind of look out there on what other apps are going to be worth taking because a lot of the gig YouTubers that I've seen, especially those that, get enough followers that their videos are being pushed, or recommended. Um, you pretty much see a lot of like the ones I do already: Uber Eats, DoorDash, Instacart, Spark, maybe Grubhub, maybe Shipt, and maybe Favor. And my only because of my husband doing Um, he looked at Draver and Rhodey. Again, those you don't see a lot of people, doing videos on those. Oh, there's another picture taking app that I've been not been able to get on. We go look, and is that also what? I don't know what this. So it's we go look. Is that also for property, or is that also involve vehicles? Property and car. Well, that's something else. I wonder what that's going to be like um, for our state. Mm, because there's an app called We Go Look, and that one does properties and cars. So that's something that's up your alley too. That can take a look. But they're on the wait list for that one, so that might be a popular one, I guess. An up and coming app. And then, speaking of AR, Grubhub, it's hard. I mean, in my market with Grubhub, I mean, it's gotten the occasional, when I do work it, um, decent offers. But for whatever reason, the majority of the offers that come through on Grubhub are long miles. And I'm talking about miles that are 10 and higher. And, um, and almost always they are $1 a mile. I'm sorry, when you're having to travel more than 10 miles for an order, the fare should be averaging at minimum $1.50 per mile because most of the time, um, these Grubhub orders that I get that have long miles are taking you out of town, taking you out of your town into a much smaller town that, the market there is minimal. So the chances of getting orders there, are also minimal. So you're going to have to spend some of that 10, 15, 18 miles just to come back to a hot zone. So I don't know what it is about, Grubhub and why. I mean, maybe it's just me, but it's hard to get my AR up on that because out of 10 offers that come through, maybe I'll accept one, at the most two. The majority of them I'm declining because it's high miles and they don't want to pay for those miles. It's exactly the same here. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's gotten its moments to where I was like, okay. And I think it just comes down to the customers. They understand, they feel for us drivers. They know we got to work for our money. So they tip, you know, good if they know we're having to drive 10 plus miles to make their delivery. So, but speaking of that, that was the other thing I wanted to bring up on this. I mean, and I'm going to be bringing it up on another video that I'll be posting probably in another week or so because I am behind. I am behind on my videos. I was starting to catch up, but then other things happened, and then I got behind again. So, is the term dirty stacking, you know, and dirty stacking from a driver's point of view is when, especially as a multi-apper, when you get one order on one app and you accept a order on another app and try to do them at the same time. I mean, I'll raise my hand. I do that. But when I do it, I try to make sure that I'm not impacting either of those customers. I try to make sure that the pickups, if not at the same restaurant, um, are within the same vicinity. And then I'm also delivering in the same direction, you know. So there's little to no impact if I only had just accepted one of them individually as complete separate offers. And but And that's greatly frowned upon, because you're doing that, you're putting customers wait time, for the orders and whatnot, because that can go against you, especially if one of the orders takes way longer than it's supposed to. Yeah, exactly. When it comes to the apps themselves are doing the dirty stacking. I mean, I don't know how many times, an order comes through, whether it's DoorDash, Uber Eats, um, and low offer. It shows pretty much you can tell that there's no tip or it's a very low tip. Goes, you decline it, and it comes back, but it's now paired with another order. But the miles aren't too bad and the pay is good. And even, that comes to Instacart as well. And then all said and done, then you find out. And I do like it when the apps show you who tipped what. Uber Eats used to do that, but they no longer do. Now that it's just lumped up into total tips. But it used to show what customer one and customer two tipped. But anyways, come to find out for the apps that do still show who tipped what, you know, the no or low tipper was paired with a great, or high tipper. So it was left on that customer who appreciates drivers, who understands that we are out here working hard and taking the time using our personal vehicles to make the shopping or make the delivery for them. And they tip well enough, you know, that they're carrying these apps are um, dirty stacking these low to no offers with them, because they know that that's the only way those orders are going to get delivered for the most part. Um, Good grief, DoorDash has been so bad for stacked offers more lately, right? And I don't know how many times Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Instacart does the same thing too. An order will come through, huh? Oh, hey Rachel, thank you for joining. Um, Pairing with slow restaurants with quick restaurants, it's nuts. Yeah, and that's the other thing there too. Especially in my market, my specific zone, um, Buffalo Wild Wings is off the table because they are notorious for excessive wait time. And I don't know how many times they try to be sneaky about it. Order comes in, a single order for that restaurant. I decline it, goes away. And then it comes back with another offer. And I'm like, uh-huh, you just came through with that offer by itself and now you're trying to stack it with something else. And then sometimes when they're really sneaking, that's when I can't stand the apps. It only shows you one restaurant. But unless you're really paying attention to where the markings are, then you have an idea of what that restaurant is, the second restaurant could be. But then that's where they get you, where they only show one restaurant, but you have, you're seeing a total of four marks on the map, because you got two separate pickups and two separate drop-offs. But of course, you don't see where you're picking up for that additional, for that second pickup until you actually accept the offer. And that's where they really do some dirty stacking as well, because they'll get those um, slow restaurants, and I can't stand it when they do that. So, I mean, why is it frowned upon? Why is it not something good to do when the apps themselves do it? And I can't stand it too, especially with Instacart. I don't know how many times I've seen orders come through, and yes, we're shopping in one spot, but the drop offs, you've got one going left, and then the other customer is going right. So you're having to take time to drop off customer A, and then you have to backtrack and go the other direction to drop off the customer B. Why couldn't they have kept those offers separated? Probably because one was a low to no tipper and no one was picking it up. So that's another way that these apps like to um, dirty stack. Um, but um, Let me see. I wanted to make sure. Mm. Rachel, are you still here? Are you still watching? Because if you are, I know you do shipped. If you don't mind sharing with everyone, okay. If you don't mind sharing with everybody, what has been your best offer? I mean, when I say best offer, I'm talking about, because I know with Shipt, for those of you guys that are not completely aware of what Shipt is, it's a lot like Instacart. The only thing is that Shipt doesn't show tips until after the fact, if they tip at all. But what has been your best tip? And then I've only been doing Shipt for almost a month, and my lowest tip has been $2, while my highest tip has been $10, and that's just for Shipt. But for those of you guys that are watching, and again, if you are a gig driver, what has been your highest tip at all across any of the apps? Um, I'm trying to think. Uh, we recently did, it was a two customer order on Instacart, and it was for $60 and some change. But just that's one of the things I don't like about Instacart is that majority, oh, $40. Nice. Very nice. Um, that it went from $60 and some change to $56 and some change because, when you can't find an item or if the substitution is cheaper than what they originally ordered, then, it drops it. My highest was on DoorDash. Whoa! That's what I call a golden egg. Man, $120 on DoorDash? Dang, that's pretty awesome. I again seeing these other good YouTubers, especially that do Instacart, when they get those 100+ orders, I'm like, I've yet that six. I mean, the highest I think I've seen was $67, and I was too slow to catch that one. It popped up, and as soon as I saw 67, and I hit, oh, it was 60 and something. Yeah. Oh, I know. That's one. Um. Uh. For DoorDash. So how long did that keep you occupied for $120 on? But that's pretty. Oh man, I've yet in my specific zone, I've yet to see anything higher than $70. I mean, like I said, before we did that $60 and some change that dropped to 56 because some missing items. The highest one that actually came through on my app was for $67 and some change, but that one, before it disappeared because I was too slow, it was for the miles were great. I think it was less than 4 miles, but it was over 50 items. But I was like, $67, I know it'd be well worth the hour, even hour and a half. Um, but I've yet to see anything higher than $67 come through on any of my apps. So I'm waiting. I'm like, are they out there? Are they out there in my zone, in my market, for these golden, and like I said, these golden A offers? Um, and I mean, because my goodness, if we were ever to get, those 100+ order, I mean, like, okay, one and done. Because I figure anything high like that, that means it's going to occupy your time a minimum, an hour because, uh, that was a 30-minute wait time at the restaurant. The food was supposed to be at the customer. I kept the customer informed all the time. Well, that was good that they didn't ding you, for being late. Um, but still, DoorDash, so it was a small catering order. So I wonder if that's something you have to sign up specifically for DoorDash to be able to accept something like that. Um, because I know on Uber Eats, and that's probably my highest tip. No, how high was that tip? I'm trying to see. Um, it was on Instacart. I'm wondering if that is the uh, the one that we did for $60. Um, um, Trying to see. I got a $60 tip on a catering order a few nights ago. It was going to a church. Nice. That that beats my tip. I'm trying to see what the actual tip was on that Instacart. I don't think it beat our I had a Uber Eats. It originally came through for Jason's Deli when I walked into the restaurant, um, and there was three full bags of food waiting, large bags waiting, and I was like, "Oh, is that my order?" And at that time, I didn't. Of course, when I accepted the offer, didn't know what it was. Um, but we got there. The person ended up meeting us outside, and probably less than 2 hours later, um, I was having some glitches with my phone, and I ended up having, I saw Uber Eats, and the amount at the top, was a lot higher than I was expecting it to be, and I thought it was due to that, uh, um, the glitch. And sorry. But come to find out, the person who had placed that order increased my tip, and it was like less than 50 cents shy of a $50 tip. Prior to that, my highest tip was probably $33. So that's what I call that's my most recent golden egg offer, I guess. But I didn't know it was going to be a golden egg until afterwards because they increased the tip. But it was almost $50, so that's my highest so far. um, and all the tips and tricks that I see other YouTubers try to offer, I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to try and increase your AR when you're getting a lot of low offers. And it's really hard to try and do those accept every offer challenges because when you're getting offers that are backwards to where you're getting 50 cents a mile, you know, that's in the end, you know how long that would take, how long it would take to get my, especially on whether it be DoorDash or Uber Eats. It would take, you're talking about at least a month if I were to do accept every offer challenge. Um, and that would take a lot of wear and tear on yourself because you're going to be working your butt off for these no tip orders, for these $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, and you're traveling anywhere from 5, 8, 12, 15 miles. And that's just one way because a lot of these offers that I'm seeing come through both on Uber Eats and DoorDash and even Grubhub, where, in the back of my mind, I keep contemplating maybe I should just start taking all these, but you're already adding in a lot of miles, in the first place. And then doing these accept all order challenges, especially to increase your AR, you're doubling it, tripling it, because those low offers, that's typically what they are high mile offers to where they're, you know, 10 miles or higher. And depending on, where you are at, your current zone or your market, a lot of in-town driving, in neighborhood driving, so meaning you're driving slow. So even those that are, 5 miles or less can still take anywhere from 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And if you're doing that for two, three, four, $5, you know, and it, it just makes no sense. And then of course it doesn't help when the apps prove it that you don't always have to have a high AR or even a 50% or higher AR because you'll still get these egg, gold egg or whatever, these really exceptional offers, where it's less than 7 miles and you're getting, $20, $30 for it. I still get those offers on these apps for both Uber Eats and DoorDash. And I guess I don't know. Maybe it's the frequency. If you have a better AR, the frequency of getting those type of, high paying offers would increase. I don't know. I got a my first ever catering order was 84 miles for $80. Nice. And the customer got the bags from me on their driveway, so no climbing up steps. So as a result, nice. Man, you've got a good market or you've got a good zone um to get these high paying offers. I need to for the catering order, was that on I don't know if you said deliver that was one of your apps that you do. Uber Eats, Grubhub, Roadie. Maybe that is Point Pickup also like a catering app? Exactly. Exactly. To do these backward offers, those low pay, high mile offers. Exactly. You're already, putting all those miles onto your car and you're increasing the wear and tear on your vehicle. And the gas, I mean yeah, especially when gas prices increase. Um, let's see, I had a minimum of $7 before I moved the van. Yeah, when I first started doing Uber Eats more than a year ago, not knowing what to do, what to expect, I think initially I said nothing, less than $5. And then as I started to do more, especially when I started to do the research and watching YouTube videos of other drivers doing, I increased it to $6 and I increased it to $7. And then, um, and then it wasn't so much as just the number, for how much you were getting paid. Then I really started to focus on the miles and what you were getting paid per mile. So some of those, $6 and $7, um, I had to make sure that I was getting at least $1 a mile. And that's what I use. I think I was doing like 75 cents and then I upped it to $1 a mile. And now I'm trying to make sure it's a minimum of $1.50 per mile, $1.50 to $2 per mile to accept it. So, I mean, because by the end of a shift, especially if we work, both the day and a night shift, we're putting like 100 miles on our car because there's a lot of in-town driving. And then, yeah, we do get some highway in there, but there's a lot of in-town driving and in the neighborhoods. So we're averaging about 100 miles um, a day. That's driving, you know, from the morning into the afternoon and doing late afternoon into the evening. And then, of course, you get these orders, especially for where we live. The I mispronounce it sometimes. The rural, the yeah, the ones that take you into these long, winding back roads to where you're getting further away from town. Yeah, we get a lot of those orders too. But yeah, so it's crazy. $3. What is it here? 2.99 for regular right now, or did it go up? 2.70. Yeah, I mean, and we noticed that it did go up probably in the past week because it was sitting at 250 something, and then it went up to 2.6 mid 60s, and then it just kept slowly increasing. So gas is another big thing on why these um, accept every orders, is very difficult to try and do. I mean, yeah, it's a challenge. It's a crazy challenge to try and do because again, you're putting even more, wear and tear on your vehicle and on yourself because some of these crazy backward offers. Are you getting me more water? Thank you. These backward offers, they could be, as I said, you're driving out into the woods, they could be these um, apartment buildings where you're having to go up to the fourth floor and they have no elevator. So you're putting wear and tear on your vehicle. You're paying excess, thank you, for gas, and then you're wear and tear on yourself. If you just jumped in and you're just now watching the live feed, I do hope that, pop into the chat there and say hi. Let me know who's watching. And if you don't mind, I can just give that quick shout out if you say hi. Um, but we're just talking about, the um the upsides and the downsides of being a gig driver. I mean, there's still a lot when it comes to and I wish, I mean, some apps like, Spark, they'll tell you if it's an apartment delivery, which is great to know, because especially when you've got, it's a bulky delivery, when you've got 2, 3, 9 cases of water to deliver, you know, when they let you know ahead of time that it's an apartment, come on. I really wish all the apps do that. I think we've done one apartment building. It was a delivery to the fourth floor, and if it weren't for my husband being with me, I probably would have been like, okay, I'm done for the rest of the day because um he grabbed all the bags that he could in his arms, and then I grabbed all and climbing 4 flights of stairs with an extra, I don't know, for me it was like maybe honestly, I had so many bags in my arm and a jug of milk, I think, in each hand. I barely made it up to the third flight of stairs. And he had already made it to the customer's door and put the stuff down. And he's like, "Do you want me to?" And I was like, "No, I'm coming. Slowly but surely, I'm coming." You know? Yeah, it's those crazy fourth floor, no uh, elevator, which is if you own an apartment building, why are you not putting elevators if you have more than 3 levels? I mean, come on. What's that? I normally zoom in on the building on the DoorDash app to make sure it's not an apartment. Oh, I need to pay attention to that. I like it when they give us more than just 30 seconds to be able to look at the offer, you know, because then you can pay attention to the direction that it's going. If it's taking you out of your zone, if it's taking you, to an area where you're going to have to spend half that time, if not all those miles, to get there to drive back. So you're dealing with dead miles. I delivered to the barracks once. OMG, their room was on the. Just exactly how many floors is that? And then, of course, you get these apartment buildings where you really have to know how the numbering is set up because you get these apartment buildings to where you got stairs to the left, stairs to the right, and if you choose the wrong side, you have to, especially if you're on the second or third floor, you have to come back down to go to the right side of the building because they don't have a middle intersection to where even if you came into the wrong side of the building, you can just cut across the middle. No. If you realize after you've already gone one, maybe 2 flights of stairs that you're on the wrong side of the building, you have to go back down the stairs and then go to the correct side. And then you get these ridiculously um, numberings, with these apartment buildings to where typically when you see the number 222, you're thinking building 2, second floor, right? Typically. No. There are some apartment complexes to where they have odd numbers on one side, the even numbers on the other side. Then they have numbers to where it's like it goes one, two, and I don't know, it's like they zigzag these numbers. It's ridiculous. It is really ridiculous. But I feel for you, Rachel. Was it a large, heavy order that you had to do for that barracks delivery? Oh my goodness, I feel for you. Like I said, um, that's why there are many, many times I'm happy my hubby is with me because I get an extra pair of eyes because the item can be literally right in front of me and I'm like, I don't see it. And he's like, that's it right there. And then, of course, um, he carrying some of the heavier stuff, you know, um, when it comes to the cases of water, the drinks, and he's there to help with a lot of the heavy stuff. 50-pound bags. Not like I can't carry it myself, but it just means less trips. You know, I'm having to do less trips especially when it comes to those. What is that? 1638, 478. When you have a ridiculous amount of steps to climb, having the extra pair of arms to carry some of your load is really, really nice. Aw. See, doesn't it make it worth it when you do this as a team? When you're a gig driver, when you have someone with you, not just to keep you company, but like I just, was saying right there with your extra pair of eyes, extra pair of arms to carry stuff um, with you. And then, of course, the biggest benefit too is especially when you're not the driver, you know, so many times when I'm driving by myself and you have to, if it's a restaurant, um, and it's a busy restaurant and you're having to park a distance away because there's no close parking, so that adds to your time. But when you're with someone and they're doing the driving, pull up, tuck and roll. You jump out and you go pick up the order and then they come right back and then get you and you're out of there. Well, I do hope that everything goes well um, for your wife and that I hope that it happens um, sooner than later. And sending prayers out your way that's what happens. Is that something that yeah, okay. She's there for the company. I mean, but that's even, especially when you're having to wait for orders to come in. We have several spots in our um, where we drive that we tend to go to wait for orders to come in. So it helps to have someone there to talk to. So you're not just listening to music or whatever, talking to yourself while orders are coming in. She looks, oh, that's good too, because I stopped doing that when I was still driving by myself. I stopped doing that. I stopped leaving my vehicle on while I jump out to the restaurant and pick up even though I have the keys, um, and I'm still able to go into the restaurant and pick it up. Too many times I see other drivers still doing that around me, where that's what they do. They get out. I've seen actually a couple of drivers to where they have no choice but to leave the keys um, in the vehicle and it's running. And they actually go into the building. That's real easy for someone to, steal your vehicle. Because I think I did read that somewhere. I mean, quite a while ago, um, that their vehicle was stolen. It was a gig driver, because they leave their vehicles running. We leave our vehicles running for the most part because it's just easier to do that. you know, to run in and come back out because you think you're not going to be long. But yeah, I stopped doing that when I'm driving by myself. I turn the vehicle off because you never know when you go in there. You're gonna get the moments where as soon as you walk in, the order's ready and you're back out in a minute. But then you could be in there 5, 10 minutes. Yes, it's a push button, but it also has um, a spot to where you put the key fob into. Um, but for the most part, it is a keyless, huh? Yeah. So it has a spot for us to put the key fob into, but for the most part, it's a push start. Because, but that's another security thing. And even the times when I was leaving my car running, maybe I subconsciously do it because there are times I realize I catch myself when I'm doing that. But I always peek in the back seat right before I open the door. Um, I'll look in the back seat to make sure I don't have any passengers back there waiting. And plus the other reason the other reason why I stopped letting the car run, other than the fact I don't know how long I'm going to be in the restaurant or um is the gas. Okay. So, I actually as long as you have the key with you, the car will not go too far. He has to be in proximity. That is true. For the keyless or the push start, that's absolutely true. And we actually, yeah, until you shut the car off. But um I'm trying to remember what the furthest was I got away from my car and the car was still running. My husband was in the car and I got out and I had the keys and I went into the store. I mean, it wasn't a big store, but I was able to do what I needed to do in the store while he was still in the parking lot. And so I don't know, at least for our vehicle, I don't know what um the distance the key in the car have to, before the car will shut down or whatever it's supposed to do as a security measure if someone does decide to try and take your car and the key fob is not in the car. So that I'm not aware of when it comes for our specific vehicle. But as I was saying, um, especially if I've got still have some family members here watching my live channel on Saturdays for the most part is our family dinner days. So I typically cover the dessert. And if you also um, are have been to my channel, you'll know that um, it's not just about gig driving. That's why the name is Gig Life and More. It's because I also do cooking videos. And being from Guam, majority of the cooking videos that I've done so far are Chamorro or Guam recipes or food that you would um, find in Guam. Um, Today I'm actually making, and Chamorro, which is the language there in Guam. It's also um, what the people are called. But in Chamorro, what I'm about to make is una lasaga, which also means banana donuts. Um, but it's basically fried donuts. And I do already have a video of how it's made and basically how I make it. And it is one of my favorite desserts to make from Guam. It's easy. It can be healthy, only because of the fact that it's a oh, it doesn't like. I guess the video doesn't like it when I move around too much. Um, oh, yeah, okay. See. You know what's the crazy thing is that for the longest time I didn't realize that it's better to eat the bananas when they're still a little bit green because um, it doesn't have as much sugar. The riper they are, the sweeter they are, but that's because it has now more sugar. So, but when it comes to making banana donuts, of course, if you're going to use bananas that are still a little bit on the green side, I still make up for it by either having some, nicely ripe banana, nice and ripe bananas, and then of course I do add sugar to it. But I'm just waiting for because the batter itself doesn't take long to make. But I just wanted to say, for those of you guys that jumped in and watched the live, thank you so much. Even if you didn't stay for the whole thing, I do appreciate that you came and sat and had a chat with me, and offered some of your insight on what's going on in your area as a gig driver. Thank you so much. And if you're watching this as a replay, again, the fact that you are watching it as a replay, still, thank you so much for doing that. And as I always say, well, I keep saying always, but as I try to say in all my driving videos, let's stay safe out there. Let's get out there and make that money. But let's make sure that we make it back home safely. Um, I've enjoyed for those of you guys that have, especially Dashing. Thank you so much. I'm gonna have to check out your channel. Like I said, I'll be able to subscribe it if I haven't already done so, and check out some of your videos and some of these apps that sound interesting enough for me, for us actually, to give it a try. And thank you for sharing your videos. But you guys stay safe out there. So until next time, everyone have an awesome day. But adios for now. Bye. 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 Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.